Winter 2018's Zombieland saga seems pretty universally revered, thanks to its colorful designs, great humor, and use of idle anime genre tropes which serve not so much to mock or deconstruct it, but rather playfully poke fun. It's a very earnest parody, not a cynical one. But for me, what elevates this from a neat little show into something remarkable is how it uses the 12 principles of animation. For those unaware, 12 principles of animation were coined by Frank and Ollie of Disney fame, and they are the base rules of how to animate well that most of America and Europe subscribes to. They emphasize the importance of fluid witty movement and expression of emotion. However, Japan's school of animation developed somewhat independently, and while there are some creators that either figure out the same principles or simply co-opted them, such as Hayao Miyazaki or Satoshi Kon, the majority of the industry is more concerned with creating cuts with lots of details or of grand scale, and it's common to save time on scenes which can be filled with simple, rigid movement and carried by writing and voice acting. And while even Zombieland has some of those, it breaks the mold by putting the extra life and emotion into scenes that almost no other show would, all done using the aforementioned techniques. It all starts with the mother of all animation principles, squash and stretch, the process of changing the object's shape as it moves to demonstrate how laws of physics apply to it. To what extent you change it is a way for the artist to demonstrate different things. Subtle elasticity will make the object look realistic, but you can also exaggerate, usually for a purpose of comedy or expression. It can be seen in small stuff like girls adjusting the ribbons, these two slow-mo shots of Taya's face getting smacked, and this one where she quickly stands up, or the way Sakura's foot unfalters when she falls on it, and then the bigger stuff like fight with the kaiju monster in the opening. Spacing is another principle strongly rooted in nature, as it emphasizes the prevalence of acceleration and deceleration over uniform motion. For example, you can see it in those back and forths between girls and Kotaro, the sequence of rope swings, or the snappy movement of Sakura bobbing her head during the rap battle. And while we're at it, this also demonstrates the follow-through and overlapping action, with her hair trailing behind her head rather than being stuck to it. This is something a little more common in anime, but Zombieland does that a lot and overall really nicely. Just look at the movement of loose clothes during dance practice, showing how the naturally light material realistically bounces with the pace of the person wearing it. Or the trailing drops of liquids such as sweat, water or mud falling behind the characters. Another thing anime doesn't shy away from is exaggeration, but it often goes to the extreme end with comically oversized body parts or sudden shifts to a different art style. And while Zombieland does some of that, it mixes it up with shifts more commonly found in, well, Disney movies. It can be stuff like how Taya's shape deteriorates while she's chasing a chicken, but I'm mostly talking about all the times their mouths get really wide, their eyes really big, and the motions, well, exaggerated. You may have noticed that I'm using a lot of examples from the rap battle. It's probably my favorite scene of the show, and as you can see, it illustrates a lot of the principles at play. It's one of the cuts keyframed by Junpei Tatenaka, a veteran animator who actually spent his early career at Disney, working on 3 theatrical Winnie the Pooh movies and a lot of the straight-to-VHS sequels, and later on the acclaimed Under the Red Hood at the Answer Studio, which was formed by former Disney Japan employees. I think it's fair to say that working on both anime and western cartoons gives him a unique outlook and pretty much a complete toolkit as far as the medium goes, so I'm not surprised by how tremendously enjoyable his shots are in the saga. Anyway, there's a couple more principles left to talk about. For example, solid drawing. The focus on making sure the correct perspective is maintained so that objects and characters feel like they are three-dimensional and have their weight and volume. Staging, which means composing a picture in such a way to convey non-verbal information and direct viewers' sight where you want it. Appeal, giving characters personality based just on the way they look and move. Also, a lot of action is performed in arcs, again closer to nature than if it were a lot of straight lines. But the MVP of all animation techniques used in Zombieland Saga goes to anticipation. Signaling that you're about to take an action, something that gamers would call wind-up or startup. How Sakura takes a small pause before running to her PC, or how she takes a deep breath before starting her verse in the rap battle, and later triumphantly raises her hand before dropping the mic, or how Junko braces herself for the swing before spectacularly failing at it, or how Saki stares in awe soaking the cheers before she breaks into a smile. The show masterfully uses short pauses to get us ready for something about to happen, enhancing everything that's important and increasing the key scene's impact. I really like this show. As much as people have praised its comedy, voice acting and storytelling, it's the polish in aspects such as the character animation that managed to steal my heart. I can only hope that we see more influence of the American style in many series to come.